Welcome back to the channel. So, channel strip plugins. Up until recently, I didn't appreciate, what these plugins had to offer. Because individually, we have our own EQs. There's Pro Q, 3 or 4, whichever version you're using. There's various compressors that we all utilize. There's preamp plugins, blah 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 blah. So it's like, yeah, a channel strip just combines all these things, but it's like I can already do this individually. It wasn't until actually I was just kind of going about my day watching some videos that made me kind of think about this. First, I ended up watching Why Do Pros Use Channel Strips? Part 2. And this was from a video from the Home Recording Made Easy, his channel. It was a great video, by the way. And then I ended up watching Why Pros Use Channel Strip plugins, and you should too. And this came from Sarah Carter's Simply Mixing channel. She does a very great comparison of different channel strip plugins. Without further ado, let's kind of get into this and why this particular plugin kind of changed my mind. I found this plugin by VoostEQ. It's called the Model In channel. And again, it's a channel strip plugin, just like you would expect. Again, there's a preamp section, a compressor, equalizer, master section here, and it has all the things that you would expect a channel strip plugin to have. But when I started to put the channel strip on to utilize just running through it, it's like, oh, okay, now I kind of understand, the point behind all of this. So let's first examine the instrument bus here, right? So I have it turned on. I'll just solo just the instruments. Drums are not in it right now. Now again, as you can see, it's going through a preamp, compressor, equalizer. But the thing that makes this a bit different, which I hadn't considered beforehand, is these channel strips that we're using is more than just compressor, equalizer, blah, blah, blah. They're emulated off of a particular like console, whether that be SSL or Neve or something else. This one particularly is modeled off of a Neve. And so going from left to right here, each one of these, you have the 3 different buttons here, the 84, 31, and the mod. In this case, on the preamp, the 84 is mentioning that this is modeled off of a vintage 70s unit. If I switch to 31, you see the controls change. This one, if you click this button here, this means that you're now, engaging as this plugin is modeling after a vintage 80s unit. The mod is modeled after, like, it doesn't say the time frame or the exact year or decade, but it's modeled off of a more recent unit. So each one of these is giving you a different tone, different flavor, as well as, this line and mic level buttons here. Switches between the line level and mic input signals. It even changes the cables. Those drive into this preamp knob here, which initially, we would think that this is going to increase the volume. However, per the manual, it's not necessarily driving the volume, but more so the distortion and the texture. So 3 different ways to change the texture here by just going over the different, models that this is, emulating. Also, same thing as you're clicking through the line and the mic, and then just driving that signal through this preamp knob here. And this is just through the preamp. So turning these off. You can kind of hear more of that crunch distortion on the mod as I turn this up. If I go back, starting on the mic side, So you can see here that the distortion and saturation kind of increases going from left to right. There's a good amount of saturation on the 70s model. It gets a little bit more aggressive on the 80s model. And the modern, you definitely hear a lot more of it. So switching back, I like to set this around like 20 on the 70s model. Going to the compressor. Same thing. I mean, typical settings that you would expect on the compressor. You know, you have your meter gain reduction here, your threshold. Now, in this case, we have two different buttons, 25 and 32. In this case, both are modeled off of a 70s unit. However, the 32 version manual says that it's a more subdued sound in comparison to this 25 button. Again, you have your compression ratios, recovery, makeup gain, and a mix knob, or we can determine, you know, how much we want to blend this between the dry and the wet signal. The slam button, I initially thought that it was going to be something like the distortion from Sound Toys or the Distressor, or the Decapitator, excuse me. But no, it's not. It's really just another texture button. So engaging this on or off is going to give the compressor internal processing more of a modern texture. Let's just play this back, turning on and off the compressor switch. Listen to the difference in this instrument with the slam on and off. It definitely does bring out a little more something with the slam engaged. All right, so the EQ. Similar, again, as with the preamp, the 84 is modeled after 70, or a 70s unit. The 31 is modeled after an 80s unit, and mod is once again modern within the recent couple of years. So back to the 84. Again, even as I toggle through these, the settings stay the same as it's just going through the different mods. So this is without, and then I'll engage it. And again, your knobs here, not again, but, and so your knobs here, standard, typical that you would expect. You have your high shelf, you have your mid, you have your low shelf, and then here you have your low cut and your high cut. This high IQ knob right here, per the manual, this adjusts the mid peaking EQ gain, and it toggles it between, you know, plus and minus 18 dB versus when it's off, plus and minus 12 dB. That's the 70s unit. Now 80s. And the modern. All right, now here's where this gets a bit more fun. You have oversampling. Engaging this gives you 2-time oversampling. Disengaging it, no oversampling. There's a route button here, which changes the routing. Right now with it on, the signal chain goes from the EQ into the compressor. When this is off, then it goes the compressor first, and then goes into the EQ. I like to keep it engaged with my EQ first. This analog flavor, they've given you additional like emulations. When none is engaged, there's no additional analog flavor. M-Air is supposed to model, again, more of a 70s sound. I think I just like 70s sounding stuff so far. Like a lot of our instruments are already modern sounding as it is. So I think it's a nice nice flavor, giving it some of that 70s sound. This CRNH, this is a transformer sound. And they also give us two consoles. Console 1 is going to be a 70s studio console. Console 2 is a 90s style console. So that's different from everything we've seen thus far with, everything being from the 84 and the 31, switching back and forth between 70s and 80s. This console 2 is actually modeled after the 90s. And then per the manual, this fake is supposed to sound like a fake unit that was distributed. I guess they were trying to pass it off like it was the actual thing, but they made, an emulation of that too. How nice of them. Let's see, I'll go back to the 70s console. This condition button or knob here, simulates frequency response, and it also responds to the input signals. You can adjust this back and forth between new and aged. It even updates the plugin, UI as you're adjusting this. So I'll just roll this between new and old or aged. Master gain and then master bypass. I did turn down the gain. Didn't want anybody saying I was trying to gaslight them with volume here. So I tried to keep the volume with the plugin bypassed and engaged. Same, so that we're listening apples to apples here. Now, again, I like running this through end result to the LA2A. I feel like it just helps to bring out those last little bits of additional transients after running everything through this particular channel strip, which is emulating, again, in this case, like the Neve sound. But really great plugin. In this case, with both of my mix buses applying this, that means I'm running all the drums, all the instruments through, a similar chain, which kind of gives more cohesiveness in the end as I'm going through my mix bus for the final sound. So let me know in the comment section, do you guys already have channel strip plugins, and have you actually been using them, in your signal chain? Or have you been like me, kind of had them sitting around, on your computer, but didn't really use them and was more reaching for the individual plugins? So if this video was at all helpful and you enjoyed it, I would appreciate it if you want to hit that like button. If you are not already subscribed, please do. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that you are alerted the next time I drop the next video. So with all that being said, I always appreciate you guys' time. And until next time, peace.